Y'all gotta stop listening to Flats. Now, before anybody goes and gets their fingers ready to start typing away a hate comment, I'm not saying that Flats is trash and like his opinions and thoughts on things are all wrong and that I'm right. That's not what's going on here. I wouldn't do that to him or any other content creator. I actually respect a lot of their opinions and the information that they give, and it helps me form my own opinion. However, after my last video, I've noticed in the community there's a lot of people that kind of just regurgitate what these content creators say and don't fully understand what they're saying. They just hear them say it, and because they're a higher rank, they just say it as well. And honestly, when it comes to life in general, people just don't know how to think for themselves. It's not just a video game thing, it's not just an internet thing, that's just an in general thing. But on the other side of that same coin, there's people that just sit there and just talk, and they feel like if they talk enough and for long enough, you'll just believe that they know what they're talking about because they've been going on for so long. And in the Overwatch space, we have a plethora of both sides. And in my last video, which did very well, I appreciate y'all for all the love and support on that video, I got a few of those comments. So what we're going to do here today is go through some of those comments and address them. The first comment is regarding me saying this in my last video.
For this example, you're on main support, your flex is already on BAP, who does a lot of healing in general, but the other team has a Doomfist or like a Wrecking Ball who is decimating your team. And their supports are pretty much making sure he can get out of whatever situation he gets himself into. Now, depending on who their supports are, Ana might be a good pick as the main support. Like I said before, your flex support is already on BAP, so he can carry a lot of the heals. This way, all the Ana has to do is snipe the other team supports and sleep nade the tank, and that changes the entire game. In this scenario, you're still using Ana like a main support because healing is still secondary.
Now, if you feel like reading this whole thing, then be my guest, go ahead and pause the video. But to pretty much sum it up, they're trying to say that Ana is actually not a good choice against Doom if you have a BAP on your team. The reason being is that they'll eat into each other's ult charges. So my first response, this was an example. This was not to be taken as the optimal support duo. I was just in the moment and I gave two characters as an example. Second response, as I said in that video, you're not using Ana to really heal. Her primary thing in this situation was not to heal. It's to counter the Doomfist and to take out the supports in the backline so that he doesn't always get saved. Which is why I was saying to keep the BAP, because he actually does a good amount of healing to where Ana wouldn't have to worry about having to heal as much. Which means neither of them eats into each other's ult charge, because one is building ult off of healing and the other one is building ult off of damage. I do feel like you overanalyze this quite a bit, and I don't know if you did it because you just wanted to sound like you were smarter because you said you were a higher rank or whatever, but it wasn't that serious. I will say the option you gave of using Brig instead was a good option still, because with Brig you can still cancel out Doomfist's punch, you can keep him at range with the whip shot, and you can still do a good amount of damage and healing just by swinging at him. However, if I want to analyze this deeper like how you analyzed it at first, all of this means nothing if his supports are still keeping him alive and you can't get to them because you're a close range character. You could get him down to like 10 HP and then he gets life gripped or Suzu'd, and now it doesn't even matter. But this is why I was suggesting Ana, because in that situation you need to be able to help with the supports as well as sleep nading the Doomfist to keep him at a disadvantage. Now this next one is a two-parter. The initial comment was clarifying what main and flex supports really are, which I admitted was correct. I could have explained that better. The terms were really made around Lucio because at the time Lucio was always picked and was played by the person that mained Lucio in the Overwatch League, so then that became a main support. It's all pretty much based around Lucio being a main support or characters like him, and then the flex supports are characters that play well with Lucio. Now some of those characters, it has changed over the years, like Zen doesn't work with Lucio anymore because they don't do enough healing. Pretty much the main support was someone like Lucio, and you would put the person on that character that mains that character, which is the reason why it was called a main support. Whereas the flex support was played by somebody that's okay with playing a few different characters and they're good at all of them, so they're flexible, which is why it's called a flex support, which in pro play did include Zenyatta, but like I said, things have changed. But I should have explained that part in the video better. I will take fault for that. However, I did respond with my reasoning on why I didn't have that part in the video, which was because in my experience of playing the game, unless you're really in like GM or top 500 or champions, most of that stuff that they do in the Overwatch League doesn't really work in the lower ranks. You might be able to get away with a Lucio Zen combo in the higher ranks because people actually know how to get behind cover. They have good map awareness, so they know where the health packs are at all times. So you don't necessarily always have to focus heal somebody, and you can help in other ways with all of the abilities that you guys have to your advantage. I honestly don't recommend using a Zen with a Lucio because it's 9 times out of 10 not going to work unless you're in those lobbies. And even in some of those lobbies, they don't recommend it as much anymore. Like majority of the community, a lot of us think we're good at the game, but a lot of us also ego challenge a lot, where you'll stay out trying to win a battle that's already a losing battle, but you think you can hit more shots than the other person. And with the new DPS passive, now your support's sitting here like, can you please get behind cover? And you're just standing out in the open. I just spit everywhere because of how long I was talking. Now that would have been the end of the conversation because I think the person understood where I was coming from. They didn't respond, but I'm assuming because they didn't respond, they were like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. But then about 2 weeks later, someone came across the video and pretty much said that I shouldn't put heroes in different categories and to leave it to pro players to define it. And if I'm completely honest, this one actually ticks me off the most because of a one simple fact. Pro players do not play the same game as you. There are things that work in pro play, and some of the things that work in pro play aren't going to work in the consumer version because you and me are not them. A lot of us don't have the mechanical skill or knowledge to be able to play at the same level as them. A lot of us don't even have the same level of character or map knowledge as a lot of them do. And the main reason being, you don't put in the same hours as them. I don't put in the same hours as them. As well as you don't go against the same competition as them. A lot of these guys that are in like Overwatch League and stuff, they'll run scrimmage games against each other so that they can continue to get better. And their skill level, even from Overwatch League players to like Grandmaster players, is so vastly different. It's ridiculous. And the level of skill they have, majority of the player base could never dream of having that. So yes, there are things that work in pro play that people will try in the consumer level of the game that then does work. We can use those things. Not everything that works in pro play is going to work in the consumer level of the game though, because we aren't them. And then you end up having people that do try to play like this that end up throwing the games because they're trying to do what Overwatch League people do, and you're not an Overwatch League person. So as I was writing the script, I noticed 2 more messages that I wanted to address here. First one being this guy telling me that I have the roles of main and flex support flipped around. They wanted me to, and I quote, explain why it is called a flex support even though they primarily, you spelled that wrong by the way, primarily do one thing, heal, and the main support being called that even though they're the ones flexing, doing other things most of the time with their ability. Pretty much was trying to say I was wrong. Now I do want to start this off by saying I do want people to formulate their own opinions and be able to, you know, actually think for themselves, but that comes after you've done the proper research and consumed the proper information. And this information that I give out isn't something where I just heard one content creator say it and I was like, oh, that has to be facts. No, this is something that's more widely understood. So like I said in that video and earlier in this video, main support was made around Lucio because at the time in the Overwatch League, Lucio was an insta-lock support. So you want to put the person that mains him and puts the most hours into the character on that character. That is why it is a main support. It is the person that mains that support. The characters outside of Lucio that are considered main support kind of fall into the same category of their thing isn't mainly healing. It's his ability. His utility is what makes him the main support. So then you have characters like Mercy who have a damage boost where they can be played as the main support. Or somebody like Brig, who you don't pick Brig because she can do a lot of healing because she doesn't do a bunch of healing at once. You pick her because of her utility. So she's considered a main support and you would want the person that mains her on that support. Now the flex supports, like I said before, are characters that run well with Lucio, and a person that plays the flex support usually knows how to play a few of them at a pretty high level, but he just doesn't main any single one of them because he has to be flexible. You might have to switch who your flex support is more times than you'd have to switch your main support. And if you want more information on this topic, you can watch this video from Crow and go to about the 6.5 minute mark. Honestly, it's a pretty good video, so I would watch the whole thing. Lastly, this guy commented 4 times on this video. So first, even though you were being condescending, I do appreciate the engagement. Now with that being said, I'm only going to address the comment that you were talking about taking space because I want you to hear me when I say this. Anybody on the team can contribute to taking space. The action of taking space is a very simple term. You are here, they are here. There's a space in between both of y'all that you want to have control over. You don't want them to have control over it because then this becomes pretty much an invisible barrier that if you step into that barrier, you might die. And in most cases, unless you're in like bronze lobbies and you're really supposed to be in plat, one person cannot take space. If you only have one person actually making an effort to take space and no one helps them, it's always gonna end badly. Like you'll have games where you have that one dude who they can't move for anything closer to you. He just keeps walking them down and they have to keep backing up. But usually you don't realize that all of you are still helping to make sure that he doesn't get destroyed as the tank. Just ruining my whole shit. Majority of times, it's honestly a team effort in taking space. The tank is usually the front line as long as it's not like a Diva or Winston. And their main job is pretty much to not die. Do damage, build up your ult charge, but not die. You just stay in the front line, do damage, build up your ult charge, don't die, don't let them destroy your team. Now the DPS is also doing damage, but they're also finishing the elims on characters that are low, making sure their supports aren't able to keep any of their teammates alive, which forces them to fall back because they're not getting any healing and they're not getting any support. And then your support's jobs are just that, to support the rest of the team, which does include obviously healing to make sure no one dies. That also includes if one of your supports is Ana, Zen, Mercy, just being able to use your abilities to give your teammates an actual good buff and advantage against the enemy. And supports can definitely still take space, because I promise you, if you get antied or hit with a discord and that health starts dropping really fast, I promise you back up. And this mindset that only tanks can take space, I think hinders a lot of people from getting better at the game, so I hope this helps. But to end this on a positive note, I really do appreciate the support on the last video. I did not expect that video to do that well. I expected for it to do decent for my numbers. It's about to hit 10K views, and it's been a long time since I've hit 10K views on a video. And despite this video seeming like I'm just trying to debunk a bunch of what I consider to be bad takes, there was some good informative talk in the comment section of that last video. So I do appreciate the engagement. I really appreciate the support on that last video. And if you have any thoughts, opinions on anything I said in this video or any of the comments that you've seen in this video, please leave them in the comment section down below. I'd love to get into more conversations with y'all. And if you made it this far in the video, obviously you did like the video. So go ahead and leave a like and drop a subscribe so that you can stay up to date on more of my content coming forward. Also, before I forget, thank you for 500 subscribers and still growing. We're on our way to 550, 600, hopefully here soon. And that is honestly still crazy to me because like I said before, I didn't expect the response I got from that last video. I do hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you enjoy future content that I plan on putting out. And for engagement purposes, go ahead and comment the Overwatch character you hate the most. Y'all have a nice day. All right.